If I was a cooler booktuber, I would have put a sari on for this book review, or stuck a bindi to my head. Instead, I'm having Bombay Sapphire Gin. Giving this book a bad review isn't just daunting, but it's also extremely sad, because so many people that I know, from booktube, from friends, from family, everyone I know that has read this book has adored it. There's only a select few I've recently come across since I said my real thoughts on the book that they've kind of piped up and said, oh yeah, I kind of felt the same way. But for the most part, telling people that this isn't the best book that I've ever read is kind of intimidating. It's literally like universally adored. On Goodreads, however, I have found that there seems to be a divide between the people that really loved it and the people that absolutely hated it. And I felt like I was a mix of the in-between, and I couldn't really find anyone else that was in between with me. This book is definitely the furthest thing from what I thought it would be, but that is my own fault because I hadn't read the blurb on the back, so I had no idea that it would be about the underworld of Bombay and the gangsters and the mafias rather than this spiritual travelling book about India. That's what I thought it was going to be about, and instead I got something completely different. That being said, I did feel there was a lot of Indian culture portrayed in this book, and that was a really beautiful thing to experience through Robert's words. There's definitely humour in this book, which is always fun. At times it did have humour so good that it was laugh out loud funny. In contrast though, there were also a lot of very violent and gory scenes, and I feel like if you have a weaker stomach, you really do need to be warned about those scenes in this book, because at times it was quite hard to swallow what you had to read. The book as a whole just felt way more like a life orientation and history lesson to me. From going way too in depth into what it's like to get clean from heroin, to just going like, just telling you every tiny little detail there is to know about firearms. It was just too much for me. One of the very many things I didn't enjoy about this book was the love at first sight drivel. Those of you that know me know that I have very strong views about love at first sight and just love in general. And just to elaborate a little bit further, I really believe that love at first sight doesn't exist. I think that to love someone you really need to know all of them, the amazing things, the good traits that make them easy to love, as well as the flaws that make you question whether you should stay with them or not. And so I get irritated when people even mention love at first sight. This book is just really filled with cringeworthy, over-described, just way too many metaphors that just killed me at times. I just wanted to put this book down and DNF it and not even bother finishing it, but I had to. It's a goal of mine to have read this book, and I completed it, so I'm super stoked about that. The biggest thing I found wrong with this book was the obsession with people's eyes. Whoever else has read this, please let me know if you picked it up too. But I felt like, in general, Roberts he really wanted to describe people's features to us, and maybe that's because he'd been in jail and it was just amazing to see new faces again, and to maybe you just get to that point in your life if you've been in jail that means a lot to you, people's features. But he would describe people's eyes to an extent that was ridiculous. Like, he described this one girl's eyes in all different shades of green throughout the book continuously until I think the last freaking page, and I think on the first page as well, and you should have just realised it then. But also, like, the Indian colour eyes, it was like, oh, they're sand colour eyes, or they're June colour eyes, or they're bloody honey coloured eyes. It was just like, fucking hell, like, we know that she's got green eyes now. You've said that about 156 times. You don't need to tell us again. Going back to the love at first sight thing, I think that the ongoing romance throughout the entire 933 pages was excruciatingly painful to sit through and read. The entire way through the book, it was just... There are a lot of themes in this book. I mean, like, way too many in my humble opinion. Overall though, I feel like this is a book about overcoming loss and a sacrifice and just reinventing yourself as a person. I did find that this book was pretty philosophically profound, and there were a few quotes that really stood out to me, and I thought I'd just share them with you while I've got you here. So let me just read them to you. Sometimes you have to surrender before you win. Sometimes you break your heart in the right way. You can't kill love. You can't even kill it with hate. You can kill in love and loving and even loveliness. You can kill them all, or numb them into dense leaden regret, but you can't kill love itself. Love is the passionate search for sorry, I suck at reading aloud. Love is the passionate search for a truth other than your own, and once you feel it honestly and completely, love is forever. Every act of love, every moment of the heart reaching out is a part of the universal good. It's a part of God, or what we call God, and it can never die. And the last quote that I really enjoyed and I could really relate to, because it's kind of been how I have been kind of feeling about life lately, is I'm cold inside. I like people, I like things, but I don't love any of them, not even myself. And I don't really care about them. And the strange thing is, I don't really wish that I did care. So they're the 4 quotes that really stood out to me, but I really do feel like I think it's a good thing to have read this book, and I would recommend it to someone if you enjoy picking up quotes, because there's lots of philosophical things in here that you can pick up. Sometimes I think that Roberts tries to be maybe a little bit too philosophical, but overall that kind of saved it for me. I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. I wish I could have given it more, but I just don't think the writing was good enough. I think that the writing was actually quite amateur. I don't know, don't hate me for saying that if you love this book. It's just that, like, the over-described metaphors and I don't know, it just seemed like really cliche to me, so that's just how I feel. Let me know if you've read it and what your thoughts are. I know that there's a sequel to it. I honestly don't know if I will be picking that up. I might try it in the future if I've got absolutely nothing else on my shelf. I did buy it for my dad for Christmas last year, so when I go back on holiday, it will be at my folks' house for me to go and pick up if I want to. But it just depends, I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you're reading down below, and if you're new to the channel, hello, welcome, and please subscribe because it would mean the world to me. Have a good day, guys. Bye.